2012 was supposed to be just like 2011, when the economy enjoyed a steady, all but slow climb out of the global economic crisis of a couple of years ago. And all of those hard-earned gains in revenue and profit from strategic acquisitions, from cost cutting, or from sales growth, that was going to continue. In fact, at the beginning of this year, 4 out of 5 CEOs in surveys said their number one strategic priority for 2012 was accelerating the growth enjoyed in 2011. So, as we look at where we are now in 2012, I'm wondering how much of that optimism for growth still remains. Because we're facing an amazing paradox, aren't we? On one hand, we see the growth in the stock market in the first quarter. We hear about improved confidence and spending in the retail sector, which is all good news. On the other hand, we hear about quietly increasing jobless rates. We hear about lackluster performance in the manufacturing and real estate sectors. And more organizations quietly reporting that they're not where they expected to be at this time of the year. In fact, one of the comments we're hearing again and again from organizations globally is, we have a revenue problem. And that revenue problem is being fueled by buyer behavior, the actions that clients are taking, or in many cases, not taking. There's an increased amount of uncertainty and indecision in the marketplace. And that's manifesting itself in decisions being delayed or put on hold. So from a selling perspective, there's more proposals you need to do, more presentations are made, sales cycles are being lengthened, more longer negotiations. Deals are slipping from month to month in the pipeline, if not stagnating totally, and forecasts are being missed. So when you think about when were the sales goals in organizations for 2012, when were they established? They were established in fourth quarter 2011. And in fourth quarter 2011, what were the kinds of questions that CEOs and decision makers in organizations were asking themselves? Here's a sample of them. We call them the 2011 questions. Where can we start to make strategic investments? How can we grow our headcount without sacrificing the profits we worked so hard to earn over the past few years? How can we differentiate through innovation and improved customer advocacy? What markets and product lines will drive revenue growth? And how can we better leverage technology? So what are the themes that are emerging from those questions? It's about expansion, it's about hiring, it's about growth. So now we look at 2012 and we're seeing quite a different scenario. What are the types of questions that decision makers and senior executives in organizations are asking themselves right now, this time in 2012? We'll call these the 2012 questions. Are there other places to cut costs that we haven't identified? Can we hold off on spending what we've budgeted, at least for another quarter? Can we get by for now with what we already have? Where do we need to focus our energies to increase revenues quickly? If we have to make investments, can we balance that against revenue? These are the questions being asked by decision makers in organizations that are re-examining their priorities. With their 2012 revenues not where they needed to be, they're starting to focus more now on how can we save money, not spending it. When your clients and your prospects think about their performance in 2012, they're starting to re-examine and put increased focus on the expenditures and the investments that they've already budgeted. So what that means is that for you, every dollar that's in your pipeline is potentially at risk. And this is regardless of what the client has told you, regardless of what you feel about your forecast, and regardless about the announcements that your client organizations are putting out there to the general public. So in this type of selling environment, the question we want to ask is, how has your selling approach changed to reflect the reality of 2012 versus the potential? In most organizations, it hasn't. So when we come back and look at part 2, what we're going to focus on is what are the steps that you absolutely must take right now in order to guarantee that your 2012 is going to get close to the targets that you set at the end of 2011.